All right, what's up, guys? Today we have Keola from Owners Club and Gator. I got to meet him in Boston this recent weekend for our Owners Club retreat. And so, yeah, we just today want to highlight what Keola is up to, things he's working on, and ways people can collaborate with him. All right, so Keola, how long have you been in Gator?
Yeah, so I've been in Gator for a little over a year, Dustin. And first off, thanks for having me on today and for having this opportunity to sit and chat with you. I know you're a person that brings such great value. So anytime that I can have an opportunity to chat with somebody like you who's a major go giver, major action taker in the space, I'm just so grateful to have this chance to learn and grow together.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so all right, you're from Hawaii, you live in Utah, and then you've been in Gator for a year now. What I guess first things, what got you into real estate? Like, were you doing things before Gator, or was that the first step for you?
Yeah, so I come with 22 years of experience in the fitness space. And so for the last 22 to 25 years, I've been heavily involved in the fitness space, helping a company locally grow from 2 clubs to 55 clubs over those last 23 years. And last year just came an opportunity for me to kind of reevaluate what I wanted to do in life. And over the last 8 years, as our company really scaled up and grew, I was on the road every week, living out of
Yeah,
hotels and airplanes. And so spending literally anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week away. And,
yeah,
benefit and grateful for powerful women in my life. My wife tapped me on the shoulder last year around February, March, and she said, "Hey, we got 3 boys. My oldest son is a senior, or was going to be a senior this upcoming year," and she said, "This is our last year with your son, and then he's out into the world and experiencing adulting and doing the things that all people grow up to do. We need to reevaluate your priorities and how you're spending your time." And as we sat down and counseled together as a family, I realized, man, I've just been grinding and really missed some of the critical moments in my kid's life. And initially I had the thought that I was doing this for them, but I realized that, yeah, as I was doing this, yes, it was for them, absolutely great, means to provide, but I was missing
yeah,
out on time with them that I could never recapture. And so we sat down, we discussed, what am I trying to do? And we reprioritized things in my life. And I, went to my company and presented an exit plan to them at that time, because I'm part of the executive leadership. And we developed a plan for me to exit. And the whole purpose of that exit was to find something that I could do that created more time and financial freedom for myself, rather than being, golden handcuffed to a job that provided well, that I met so many great people in, love to do, but really I was building somebody else's future and my own because I had ownership in the company. But I realized at that time that I needed to pivot and I needed to put more time into my family. If I said family was everything, I needed to kind of show that. And so after we had the discussion, I exited my company and I really took a time at that time, Dustin, to think through, okay, what's out there for me? Like, there was no rush to dive into anything. I had opportunities flooding to jump back into the fitness space. And funny thing is, I started doing all these interviews for the exact same role for other companies. And my wife was like, we literally just left that. And here you are taking interviews, do the exact same thing. What makes you think it's going to be any different? And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. And in this time frame, a friend of mine who had followed Pace Morby for quite some time kind of tapped me on the shoulder. Hey, you should check out these videos and see, because I know you've been interested in real estate, but never really dove in. You should check these videos out. And like so many other people, Dustin, I kind of turned on that first video and kind of dove into that black
yeah,
hole of content consumption. And I was
yeah,
mesmerized, right? I tell people this all the time. I was like a bug to the light, just drawn to every video I could watch. And as I was going through this educational process, the Gator method started to be kind of promoted more. And I looked at the fact that I really had zero experience in real estate, except we had homes that we rented out in the past. Outside of that, zero real estate experience. But
yeah,
I had time and I had capital. And
Yeah.
Gator Method was the entry for me that I felt was right for me to dive into. And so I jumped on one of his free Zooms on a Saturday, joined that Saturday, and they say the rest is history, but there's been a lot of learnings and a lot of growth in that process. But I'm so grateful, number one, for my wife for tapping on the shoulder, helping me reprioritize things, and number two,
Yeah.
to find the Gator program that Pace created, and the community that comes with it. And so that's kind of how I got to Gator and the things that I've been doing since then.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what would you say? Okay, so fast forwarding a year a bit, um, you're in Owners Club. We're learning a ton, especially like branding and marketing yourself, expanding your business through that channel. What would you say is your current main focus? Like, if people want to work with you, they're what type of person would that be? What would it look like?
Got it. So I would say that I have two main focuses. Uh, the first main focus is obviously in trying to build up my business, which I've kind of pivoted and really honed in on transactional funding, right?
Yeah,
Whether that's 6 months or less of lending, and really trying to find fast transactions that can turn over quickly and have my money constantly deployed. And so, working with wholesalers, working with investors that are looking for shorter term lending opportunities, that's kind of my main focus where I put most of my time and energy in. The second
yeah,
focus that I've been blessed to have opportunities with is really in helping others that have been in my shoes, people that are stuck, getting unstuck, and just helping them take those very elementary and what seems like very basic steps to move forward, right? And so I've been spending a lot of time in networking and connecting with people that are on the fence if this is something I can do, right? They ask themselves that all the time. Do I have enough information? Do I have enough money? Do I have all these other things? And just helping them move forward. And so I focus on those two things, transactional lending and then helping people to get started and just feel as if they're getting educated information to just take that next step, right? I share this with people. Sometimes we feel like we have to know where the road goes. And yes, we want to have a direction and a destination, right? Just like everybody has a GPS and they type into their phone, hey, I want to go here. And it pops up all these maps and directions.
yeah.
And sometimes we just hit follow, right? Let's follow those directions and we blindly just wherever Siri takes us or Google Maps takes us, we go. And we do this every single day, just putting our faith in this device. And I say, getting started in real estate is similar. If you have an end goal or a direction you want to go, good, plug it into your internal GPS. But realize that as you start taking steps, sometimes you have redirection. Sometimes it redirects you, reroutes you, and you find that as you go down this path, there might be a roadblock, but it redirects you someplace else. And that GPS, that redirection, is the right community, the right mentor, and the right education and training that can help you along this journey. And so those are kind of the two things that I really focus on.
It's funny you say some of that because the taking action part. Because this morning I was I just finished running and I don't know what made me think of this, but it was over a year ago. I had just joined Gator and I had my white label for Alpha Gator, like the DCR and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at first, I was spending money for a Facebook page on active ads for it, which back then, is kind of aggressive. I was just taking action basically, and I didn't get a deal from that. But what it led to was I was promoting the DSCR heavily, and it helped me find this other company that did DSCRs with private money. And anyway, in the short term, the the massive action, I didn't see any results. But a year later, it led me paying money for these Facebook ads led to a connection with this a person that now works at PadSplit, and they've been a massive benefit to me. So it's like they worked at one company, and then they switched to PadSplit. And anyway, in the short term, it'd be like, all right, that was dumb. Why did I spend money on those ads? But now, that person I met from those ads asks me to speak at like PadSplit events, and it's like the benefits are not as tangible, but they're massive. And so,
Right.
yeah, it's cool to see how imperfect action is always better than just nothing.
I was literally going to say that. Like as you said, I think it's worth restating. Right, imperfect action beats no action every single
Hmm.
day.
Yeah,
Right, and like you didn't know that the things that you were doing then would lead to where you're at now. It's similar to like walking down a dark road with a flashlight. We know directionally where we want to go, similar to a GPS, but all we got is our little flashlight that just shines 5 feet in front of us. And sometimes people get so stuck that they're afraid that because they can't see the end, they take zero action, right? And I tell
yeah,
people this all the time and every single day: take your little flashlight and walk with what you can see, right? Take those 3 steps, and as you take 3 steps, all of a sudden 5 more feet opens up before you, and five
hmm,
feet at a time, you slowly get to your destination. And along the way, you learn and you grow and you move. And before you realize it, you look back and you've come so far. And that path may have changed, but you're just taking those 5 feet increments of shining your own light, stepping forward into your light, and finding out who it is that you are and what you want to do.
yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, so your shorter term focus is transactional lending. What would you say if you know, what would you say is like your 5 year, like your big goal, your big Everest?
Yeah, so it's a combination of things, and I haven't necessarily clearly outlined and mapped out what that looks like, right? I'm kind of in that boat of I'm taking those five 5 feet steps with my little
Yeah,
flashlight and hoping that it'll open up to me, and I know it will, right? I have faith in it as I take those actions and take those steps. But
yeah,
in the long run, you know, I'd like to help Polynesian people that are migrating to the states, right? People are leaving the islands from all over Polynesia for better opportunities, for better jobs, right? And to kind of help their families come to the States and provide for themselves. However, in that transition, especially for the Polynesian culture and community, you know, they every single home or most homes are multi-generational, right? To afford all that they can afford. And so you've got 3 to 5 families living under one roof, jam packed into a house. And I know a lot of other cultures are like that. And they know no different, right? It's families, everything in that regard, but they're flooding to markets. They have limited space and they have to live this way because financially they can't afford things on their own. And so the big goal is to find an opportunity to provide affordable housing to those families that are migrating to the states. They're looking for better opportunities in specific markets that they're flooding, which are markets like Utah, markets like Arizona, markets like California, and kind of the western states to come and live and provide for themselves and their families. And a component of that as well, Dustin, that is what I want to provide and help them with is help them to provide opportunities to not just get affordable housing, whether that's a co-living or a microfamily type of a situation, but also help them to create and operate their own jobs, right?
mhm,
That they come, they learn skill sets, they're able to learn in the process of getting a job, but then also learning how to do that for themselves and create their own businesses because there's so much funding available for Polynesians from a federal level that can help them create their own businesses, get the financing needed, and then provide for not just them, but for generations to come and teach others
yeah,
along the way. And so those are kind of the two big points of my Everest that I'm working to identify and really fine tune.
yeah. That's cool. Yeah, no. So we're both BYU Hawaii alumni, which is pretty neat. I don't meet a
That we
lot of
are. Go Seasiders.
alumni. Well, I know one thing I wish, and maybe they'll do this one day. Um, but one goal of mine, it's not like an Everest or anything, but is to teach at least 1 year at BYU Hawaii. But also, I think it'd be really helpful if they evolve into a graduate program as well. Because I remember when I was moving and I had the bachelor's degree, if I could have marketed myself with a graduate degree, it would have been easier. Because you're 6 hours from California. And I remember,
Yeah.
like, I moved to Florida and got my graduate degree there. But it would be cool to see that school, that program evolve into a graduate school as well. Okay, I guess then, so people understand, they now understand what you're up to, what your focus is. What are maybe one or two things where if someone does want to collaborate with you that they can like bring to you, whether it's capital deals, both, or certain connections? What are you looking for?
Yeah, good question. So, in order to help me really grow and help others grow with my transactional funding, the main target I'm looking to focus with is people who are currently wholesaling or looking to invest with quicker turnarounds. And so, if you're in markets that you want to scale your wholesaling business and really look to accelerate that and take on more doors, then hit me up and let's see how we can collaborate and grow together. So that's one thing. But the second piece I mentioned too, right? It's a twofold approach currently that I love doing is I get a lot of energy and I get inspired by chatting with people every single day. And so if you're stuck or if you're hesitant or if you're on the fence, if real estate is for you or if you don't know what your next step is, I love to sit and talk with people to number one, help them turn on their flashlight, right? And help them see just those next 3 to 5 feet in front of them and hold them accountable to taking those next steps. And so reach out to me if that's where you're at in your business or in your journey, whether you're experienced or new. I love networking with people and I call myself an enthusiastic referral problem solver. Like anybody that I
Yeah,
talk to, I love to understand what are their needs, what are their challenges, but what are things that they're looking for to help them. And if I've connected with somebody like, Dustin, like with you, you bring great value to anybody interested in the co-living space, right? And if anybody has any question with PadSplit, you're the guru, right? And so if I connect with people and they're like, hey, I'm really thinking about this market or that market, and I love the PadSplit model, they immediately be like, man, have you ever connected with Dustin? Because he is the PadSplit guru. You got to reach out to him, and here's what he can provide for you, right? And so I love that type of uh, engagement and kind of the ability to learn and grow together.
no, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's awesome. Would you say so? I'm kind of combining all this stuff. Do you think housing and maybe 3, 5, 7 year down the road is maybe what part of your focus will evolve into? Where is it at any point turning affordable housing, like for the like you had mentioned, someone moving from the islands to Utah, Arizona? How do you? I guess what would be some detail of what that would look like? How you're assisting them? Is it helping them find resources, or is it having the resources? Or
Yeah. So, ultimately, as I do this, we always want to create a situation where everybody wins, right? It's a win-win-win situation. And I think following your similar concepts and model, whether that's passive or co-living, acquiring those doors to have the available resource to house people and
yeah,
let them come in, whether it's in that space or whether it's Section 8 or similar to some type of federally funded or government funded program to assist. And then once we can house them, then educate and train them to then develop their own businesses. We have so many people who are in the lease to own space, right? Which is
yeah,
kind of allowing people this opportunity to support themselves and ultimately take over that property. I also see that similar model almost with businesses, similar where we can teach them along this process, not only provide them housing, but teach them how to pay for that housing through business development, business education, and then almost similar to a business style of lease to own your own business model and kind of conquer two fronts there.
yeah. And then so this part, I'm really brainstorming out loud here, just as we
Please.
discussed. But I remember, so when we left Hawaii in 2020, both my wife and I had graduated, and I remember I was looking at graduate school in Utah, different programs, but kind of all over. And I remember it was not easy to find something as a young adult with limited experience moving wise. And I remember thinking back then, it was like if there was some sort of, like in Hawaii, the first place my wife and I lived in, it was not much bigger than this room. That was the kitchenette. We had a hot plate, we didn't have a stove,
Mm-hmm.
and no AC, but it's on the beach. And anyway, what I'm getting at is I remember thinking if there was something or somewhere that we could live temporarily, like because I was going to go to grad school. If there was somewhere I could move from Hawaii, and I think it was U of U I was going to go to at first. If
Hmm.
there was some sort of housing that I could have went to that was just connected with BYU Hawaii, I remember thinking that that would have been amazing. But when we were looking, it was not easy to find that transition because I knew the intention was to go to grad and to a graduate program. So anyway, that could be something. We're both alumni. Maybe we could investigate on that.
Yeah, I
I
love
don't
it,
know.
and just helping people right through different phases of their life. Right? I
Hmm.
love that.
Yeah, it's such a big move. Well, awesome. So, right, so people understand what you're up to, what you're looking for. What is the best way for them to get a hold of you if they feel like they can help you collaborate or it's a good win-win?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me would be on Instagram, Keola_Keala. So that's spelled Keola underscore Keala. Kind of a tongue twister there, but it's Keola_Keala on Instagram is the best way. That's where I'm most active. That's where I do most of my outreach and contacts there is through Instagram DM.
Awesome. And then do you have any resources like YouTube newsletters or anything else, or Instagram's the best source of info for you right now?
Currently, Instagram is the best source.
Okay,
Developing and
okay,
building up the other resources, haven't tapped into that yet. But part of it being the owners club and having people around you that inspire you to
yeah,
do
yeah,
more and do better is kind of where I'm at right now.
awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining today. Yeah, so wholesalers or people with capital definitely connect to his Kayla. Very smart guy, very genuine, and I appreciate you joining today.